Hi everyone, it's 2:10 AM in the morning on a very quiet Oxford Street, and I'm just waiting here for my bus for the next of my adventures, so hopefully it turns up soon.
A look at the bus stop here where I'm waiting, rearing to go. Phew, it turns up and I make it on board all in good time. And with that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. We pass Tottenham Court Road tube station to begin our journey out here towards Liverpool Street, though sadly this bus does not go direct, so I'll have to get off and walk the final 10 minutes. But gosh, is it noisy on board here, clattering away through the streets of London. I saw a fox here dashing across the pavement for its nighttime forage, but sadly was unable to capture it on camera in time. And please remember to like and subscribe. It really does make a difference, and I do appreciate every subscriber I have. New to this video, I also now have an Instagram channel, at Carl's Travel Channel. Please follow me on there. As I got off the bus to walk the rest of the way, very luckily an N8 turned up just behind, taking me all the way direct to Liverpool Street.
Well, very luckily that N8 bus turned up right behind the N25 at Bishopsgate where I got off, so I jumped on. And now I'm here at Liverpool Street Station to go and find my bus stop. Still feeling a bit weary and tired, but actually, in the grand scheme of things, not too bad. Luckily I found here already where the National Express goes from.
And here is the stop, letter G, for the service A8 to Stansted Airport. Oh no, I can't believe it! The bus has left without me. Only joking, that was the departure beforehand. Once this first National Express has pulled away, a Flixbus pulls into the stand behind. I have made a video all about them already, which you can see on my channel. They are the main competitors on the route. Anyhow, it's 3:25 AM, and so, here we go. The coach fare was only £9. The journey time today will be well over an hour, much longer than the 45 minutes or so on the Flixbus, which I normally take from Stratford to Stansted. But sadly at this time of day, there's no Elizabeth line to get me out that far. The coach stops about 4 or 5 times en route at random little bus stops to pick more people up, which all seems to add to the cumbersome frustration of the journey. One thing that is very good, however, is not just one, but 2 USB sockets are provided for every seat. And my legs just about fit in here. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity stopping everywhere in London, we make it out onto the motorway, the M11.
Well, I've made it to London Stansted Airport, and my gosh, that was a slow and cumbersome journey compared to my experience earlier this year on the Airport Bus Express. Hopefully next time the fares on them will come down and I can be on them again, because there were way too many stops and my legs now feel really cramped up and tired. Anyway, let's get in the terminal and go through security.
Access to the terminal is nice and easy via this walkway. Through security, and the lines were not too bad. Now it's time to order breakfast on my phone. I do this using the Wetherspoons app, which sadly you cannot see clearly on the camera.
Well, security was nice and quick and easy, and now I'm waiting for my breakfast here at the Wetherspoons at Stansted, but my gosh, it's expensive. Let's hope it's nice.
Well, it's arrived and it was delicious, well as far as the Wetherspoons breakfast can be, but it cost a whopping £12.95. And my customary orange juice and lemonade on top cost an additional.
Well, the breakfast was very good, and for this time of day was just the right size, but gosh, I do feel tired now.
With no sleep at all whatsoever, it looks like at this point I almost nod off at the table. I am not sure why, but this poster as you go down the escalator always gives me a little smile and a chuckle. Boarding begins at 6:05 AM, and I always love walking out on the tarmac next to the aircraft. The smell, sights and sounds of the airport are always exhilarating. We wait here for a while in the freezing cold for the air stairs to open and to alight the aircraft. However, I'm sure it'll be a lot colder in Tallinn. On board comfortably in my seat, and there's just enough room here, as you can see, to fit my long legs. I look at the other leather seats here beside me, and by a massive non-stroke of luck, I got a whole row to myself, so I'm quite happy.
Well, I made it on board.
In good Ryanair fashion, promptly on time, we're on the runway and rearing to go. So, here we go. Price today was only £25, which is certainly not the lowest cost Ryanair flight I've had, but it's also definitely not expensive. Sadly, they did not allocate me a free window, so I then had to pay £8 for one after checking in. As we lift up above the clouds, a beautiful dawn light comes into view. Arrives, an amazing view over the sound that separates Copenhagen and Denmark from Sweden. But one thing Ryanair really need to do is clean their windows. Passing now over mainland Sweden, you can just about make out a wind farm below. We then leave Sweden and head out over the Baltic Sea, my home for the next 2 nights, over an island I've never heard of before called Runo. At least I think that's pronounced right. I wonder if there's a ferry there. We then pass over the top of another large Swedish island called Åland. From here we would head out over the top of Gotland and down into our descent towards Tallinn. I'll let you sit back and relax and watch the very foggy and wet landing at double the speed, as I know some of you like to see it. I know that some of you will stop watching the video at this point as a result, but that's okay, you can watch Steve Marsh instead. I would rather keep my videos in my own format, regardless of whether it fits the traditional etiquette or not. Just to add, there's nothing wrong with Steve Marsh, by the way. We are down, my first ever time landing in Estonia. The aircraft rolls out after its very long, wet landing, and get ready for what I love, yes you know it, an onboard announcement.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you to Tallinn Airport with the local time is approximately 5 to 11, 10 minutes ahead of our schedule. Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete and final stop and the captain has switched off the fasten seatbelt and for you. Please take care when opening the overhead lockers and items of your carry luggage may have become dislodged during landing by phone causing injuries. Laptop, computer and larger portrait devices must remain switched off securely so you may not use your smaller phone devices. If you smoke, please refrain from doing so until have reached a designated smoking area or outside the terminal building. For more information about car hire and accommodation, please continue to visit our website ryanair.com. And on behalf of Captain, First Officer, the Special Office Cabin Crew, it's been a pleasure looking after you. We hope to see another Ryanair scheduled flight. Once again, thank you and have a safe onward journey. For those of you returning home, welcome home.
We taxi into the extremely wet terminal at Tallinn's International Airport, where a Turkish Airlines 737 is already waiting there on the gate. One thing that did amuse me is the pilot on board our aircraft said thank you for flying Malta Air. I guess it's a Ryanair subsidiary, however, they don't usually use that name on board. Have you also experienced this before? Let me know in the comments below. Finally out in time for the bus, the number 2 to Baltic Jam, which I'm pretty sure I've not pronounced correctly. Safely and easily on board, I bought a ticket from the machine at the terminal for €2. However, I discovered on the way home you can actually pay with contactless on the bus. They also have USB charging here, which is really useful, and not bad legroom really. As you can see here, a tram line parallels much of the bus route into town, which is supposed to go to the airport itself, but sadly the reopening has been delayed until summer 2026. Successfully off the bus in less than 20 minutes, and I wave goodbye to my number 2 to Baltic Jam.
Well, I've arrived here in Tallinn, and I'm certainly now feeling very tired after no sleep. Having a little explore around the city, it seems to be a lot of modern shopping centres, but I'm near the old town, and hopefully I'll go and find some coffee.
As a car bolts past, not so many coffee shops around here, but certainly a lot of fast food restaurants, like that KFC. I try instead inside a shopping centre, where there's an H&M upstairs, which they like in Scandinavia, and downstairs, of course, there's here, I find a coffee finally, where I enjoy this nice latte for about €4. Really good value, actually. And of course the other essential, when travelling, a plug to charge my phone. Back outside I find this really cool looking outlet-style shopping village, with these what look like old warehouses, renovated with modern buildings on top. I try to keep my energy up and power onwards towards the port, passing this large bus depot. Just before reaching the port, I make it to here, the Nautica Shopping Centre, which offers a wide array of shops, restaurants and cafes. Outside the back of the shopping centre, the excitement builds up as I see the ferries for the first time.
Well, I don't think I've ever been anywhere with so many shopping centres. It kind of feels like America with all these big modern complexes everywhere, but they're quite nice and it's quite fun. At least there's a lot of food and drinks available. Particularly burgers. There seem to be a lot of burgers available everywhere, and that's now making me feel very hungry, and I think I'll have to find one. Over here, as you can see, is the ferry terminal itself, and my first glimpse of the ships. As you can see on this side is the Viking terminal, which we will not be using today, but I thought I'd got a bit of time, so go and check it out. There's this cool little bridge here over to it. And over there I think I can spy my first glimpse of the Baltic Queen. I will be sailing from here today at the D terminal, where you could see the Baltic Queen in the distance, but alas, I'm going to get some food now and then have a little rest before entering the terminal. And so, cheers.
But I hope the name of this beer does not begin with a certain letter. Some of the adjacent hotels are located here, including the Hestia Hotel Europa, which is ideal for those travelling by ferry.
Right, beer and burger done, it's now time to head off to the D terminal to see if I can find my ship, the Baltic Queen. Alas, however, there's still an hour until boarding opens, so maybe I'll get a coffee in there and just explore to see what the terminal has to offer and show you about. And here is one of the Lux coaches that offers a premium service between Riga and Tallinn. It does indeed seem that all the coach operators use this terminal stop outside the D terminal, including Flixbus, which has just arrived. I should really look up online to see where you can catch these two from here.
Right, let's head inside the terminal and get checked in. I take the escalator up to the departures and check-in area, ready to check in. Well, I totally failed to learn how to use the electronic ticket machine, so I had to check in with a person instead. They are located here anyway, should you require them. Just behind these machines was this nice little cafe, where I enjoyed a rather expensive latte. It was not long until boarding, so here we go. The excitement then builds as I get the first view of my ferry, the Baltic Queen, just as another Tallink vessel pulls in or out of its dock behind. And there she is, certainly a very big vessel. To my surprise, I thought this was very fun. There was a DJ playing in the corridor to welcome new arrivals to the ship. A very nice and swish and swanky stairway. Now, let's begin the arduous task of locating my cabin for the first time, and given the size of this ferry, that certainly may not be easy.
Well, as usual, I don't take the lift and walk up the stairs.
The lifts on board ferries at boarding time tend to have very long queues. First time I've seen this on a ferry, the corridor to my room actually required the boarding card to get in. And of course, it doesn't work first time, or second, or third even, as you see here. Well, let's hope it works eventually. Phew. Let's have a go at the boarding card fun again. Nope. And, oh, second time lucky. It's always a nice excitement seeing your cabin on board for the first time.
And well, a very cumbersome door and temperamental key card, as is usual on a ferry. However, made it into my cabin really fast, and other than the fact it's absolutely tidy in here, it really is quite nice. I love the old-fashioned wooden style and feel of the room. I'll give you a proper cabin tour later on, but for now I think I might even go to bed and get about an hour's sleep before we set sail. One thing I will point out, however, is they've made up the bed and left it folded up, and it comes down like this with all of the linen and your towels and everything all provided and strapped up. And obviously if I'm going to have a sleep, I'm going to have to dismantle all of this, so you won't get to see it later on. On further inspection as well, it looks like you actually have to construct the bed yourself, which, to be honest, I really don't like, because I can see this sheet coming off through the night and keep folding up. That is definitely a bit of a failure. After a very short 1 hour sleep, it's time to have a little look around on deck to see her departure.
Täpsemat informatsiooni tänaste lastetegevuste kohta. Ja meie Juhaniga läheme nüüd Starlight showbaari ja alustame seal loteriipiletite müügiga. Ja maksab loteriipilet 5 €, saate maksta sularahas, eurodes saab maksta kaardiga. Auhinnad lähevad loosi täna õhtul kell 11 Eesti aja järgi sealsamasse showbaaris ja loosimisel tuleb olla kindlasti kohal, et oma auhind kätte saada. Soovime teile headel loosiõnne ja tere tulemast nüüd Starlight showbaari ostma loteriipileteid täna õhtusele loosimisele.
Mina damer och herrar, hjärtligt välkomna ombord Baltic Queen som ska ta oss tillbaka till Stockholm. Baltic Queen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. Your cruise manager, Rebecca from Estonia, Johanna from Sweden, welcome you. And we have a lot of nice entertainment for you tonight. Very soon, our troubadour from Estonia, Ivar Kanen, will start to entertain you in Sea Farm. All children are welcome to playroom, which is on deck number 6 in front of the ship, seaside, and there you can ask information about tonight's kids' activities. But now we will go to Starlight Show Bar, and then we will start selling lottery tickets for tonight. So hurry up if you want to buy your ticket. The amount of the lottery tickets is limited. And the tickets, they cost 5 euros, cash or card. And we will have the lottery draw tonight at 11 o'clock Estonian time in Show Bar. And then you have to be there to get your prize. So we wish you good luck. Welcome now to buy your lottery tickets for tonight. And once again, welcome on board.
Right after that very long announcement, let's head back inside in the warm. And as she said, they have this peculiar lottery on board, which, if you want to take part, you have to buy a ticket right away on boarding, and not later. I'll show you where this takes place later on in the video. A look here at the all-important cruise programme on board for tonight. Certainly something you don't get on Brittany ferries. Let's now explore some of the retail outlets. Here beginning with the fashion street. You can see some of the various merchandise. Bags, handbags, coats and fragrances it has on offer. Really, it is quite large with a big selection, even some watches there also. Directly ahead after the shop here is the Manhattan Piano Bar and this peculiar little Starbucks machine which you have to pay for just before entry here. It didn't really seem the best location for it, to be honest, and alas, I never used it. Inside the piano bar you can see it has a nice ambience. We'll explore it more later on. Right now, however, I want to head up on deck and watch her departure from Tallinn. You can see here below she's already been disconnected from the link span. Well, just before we set off, it gives me time to welcome you on board the ship, the Baltic Queen. She was built in 2009 for the Estonian operator Tallink, who it still operates for today. The Baltic Queen is a 212 metre long cruise ferry and weighs 48,915 gross tonnes. She could carry 2,800 passengers and across 927 cabins, also with space for 420 cars. The immense scale of her compared to other companies' vessels, such as Brittany Ferries, is really quite overwhelming, and it's definitely a must-see journey I would recommend to take.
Well, here we are having a look around smoking deck 6.
My only complaint so far really is it's not possible to go up on the very top decks. And at 16:19, exactly 11 minutes ahead of schedule, it looks like we're pulling away from the quayside. Our book plan today is a 16:30 departure from Tallinn and 10:30 AM arrival into Stockholm. And with a bit of vertigo as I put the selfie stick over the side, you can see her gingerly and slowly moving away from the quayside.
Welcome on board the Baltic Queen. Our estimated arrival time in Stockholm is 10:30 a.m. in Swedish time. We'll arrive at Mariehamn at 4:50 a.m. Estonian time and stop there for 10 minutes. The captain and crew wish you the nicest trip.
And so, here we go.
And my gosh, those trucks on the quayside are loud. I'm not sure why the camera picks their sound up so clearly. She now begins to slip away from the port side even faster. However, to not leave you too bored, let's speed this up a little. As the onboard announcements are still rabbiting on and on and on, you can see Tallinn's amazing purple Ferris wheel lighting up the night sky into the distance, and the lights of the city and the port slowly dwindle away. Back inside here at the rear of the vessel is the entrance to the Starlight Palace entertainment venue.
Crouch down and keep close to the floor while moving towards the exit. Smoking is not allowed in the internal areas. Smoking is only allowed on video.
Let's have a quick look out here on the other side of the vessel and the dwindling lights of Tallinn in the distance, before I have a break in my cabin for a refresher and another quick sleep.
Restricted areas by passengers is against the law.
Back in the cabin, a quick first look at the bathroom before I give you a full tour later on. However, for now, I will step in and use the nice hot shower. I must say it was very good and worked well.
Well, I'm nice and refreshed and showered after a 2-hour sleep, which was pretty good really. So hopefully now I can enjoy myself for a few drinks and some food tonight out on the ship. A night out on town, as it were, on the vessel. Let's see how it goes. Firstly, let's take a look at the deck plans to decide where we can go.
Arriving here at the Fast Lane self-service restaurant, a look at the menu. Pause the video if you want more detail.
So I ordered in the restaurant self-service, which, unlike Brittany Ferries, is very confusing because they give you a number and you have to go back to collect it when it's ready, as seen on the screen up there.
To keep in my true Brittany Ferries trip style, I decided to go for the cod and chips. And I must admit, it really was very good. At least twice as good as Brittany Ferries, and of course, twice the price. I return my tray and plate to the used plate cart here. Make sure you do that to be nice. Let's continue to explore the ship and walk the food off. Directly opposite the self-service is the main reception area for the vessel. This is where you could go for any queries, cabin upgrades or questions. And there's some nice comfortable seating directly opposite. After here is the cosmetic boutique, which, as you'd probably guess, is full of perfumes, fragrances and other various items that you would usually find in a standard airport-style duty-free shop. Directly next door is a general store, which looks like it sells everything, from gifts to clothing to accessories, even some sunglasses there for the nice Baltic weather. Reaching the second of the 3 different stairways on the ship, on the far side is the video games arcade. On the way, another quick look at Deck 6's plans. And there's the arcade. However, I'll show you a proper tour in there later on in the video. For now, let's head and check out the rest of the shops and entertainment venues. Now, one of the quirkiest things on board this ferry is just coming up around the corner. Yes, there is an entire supermarket on board, just like Tesco or Sainsbury's, or maybe Waitrose even. It even has baskets and shopping trolleys. Sadly, no filming is allowed inside. I then reached my destination for the evening, the ship's entertainment area, and you can see the various cruise programme up there on the wall. Here are the Starlight Palace and the pub aptly called the Sea Pub just around the corner. Let's try this out first before the entertainment. For those who like such things, in the entrance area to it here are a load of various machines, which is about the same size as Brittany Ferries' onboard entertainment zone. Passing the very comfortable seating, we take a look here along the well-stocked bar. I enjoyed my first pint on board, a Stella. Not only is there live music here from a small band, there is also karaoke tonight. I returned to the Starlight Palace to enjoy the ship's show. The main part of the entertainment was provided by the excellent Passengers Band, who ironically were also on my Copenhagen-Oslo ferry. You can find that back in the history of my YouTube channel. And well, I sit back and enjoy the show. Cheers! As the band finishes, it's time for the all-important and unique onboard lottery results.
ja suur tänu ansamblile Passengers bänd, kes mängib teile täna õhtul siin showbaaris tantsumuusikat. Nüüd aga on kruiisijuhid Juhan ja Terje siin teie ees, loterii auhinnad loosime peagi välja, nii et palume teil oma piletid juba välja otsida, aga veel enne tahame õnnitleda sünnipäevalaps ja meil on täna õhtul 2 sünnipäevalast, kellel on sünnipäev nüüd oma kruiisi jooksul, kes on oma nimed ka kirja pannud laeva infos, nii et kutsume nemad kohe siia lavale.
Kära gäster, det är snart dags för lotteridragningen och ni köpte ju lotter. Jajamän, kommer ni vinna ikväll? Ja, och ni kommer också vinna. Hur ska detta gå till? Vi har ju bara 6 vinster. Ja, vi håller tummarna. Ta fram alla lotterna och håll tummarna. Men innan dess är det dags för firarstund. Och vi firar alla de personerna som fyller år under sin kryssning, men också har skrivit upp sitt namn i receptionen.
Soon we will have lottery draw. So have you bought lottery tickets from us? you already can take them out and prepare them. But first it will be celebration time. So if you have now birthday during your cruise and if you have signed up your name at the information desk in beforehand, we will invite you on stage. And tonight we have two birthday heroes. Ja, palju õnne, Elvira Dolina!
Another bonus, if you have a birthday on board, they'll even announce it for you during the show.
Thank you so much everyone for buying lottery tickets from us. We have sold 100 blue tickets, 6 nice prizes will go out to lucky winners. And very important, you have to be here and you have to come and get your prize now here. You cannot get it afterwards tomorrow. So how we will do, we will now break this ring of lottery tickets. We'll put all tickets inside, then we will mix them and maybe we'll come out to you. Maybe we find some kids who take us to help us to take out 6 lucky winners. Alright, good luck. Hea Kloosi õnne. Ja number 30.
Första vinnaren nummer 30.
Number 30.
After enjoying the delights of the entertainment, I'm absolutely shattered and back in my cabin and bed and off to sleep. Good night from the Baltic Sea.
Well, good morning from the Baltic Queen and the Baltic Sea. Well, I'm afraid that was a very short night's sleep. Because generally on a ferry it always is, because they arrive too early. So let's come out of the cabin and see if we can find some breakfast. The bed was okay, it was nice and comfortable, but just not enough time really to stay in it.
I arrive at floor 7, where the grand buffet is located. But before we go in, wow, what is that outside of the windows? The sun has come out and there is the archipelago coming into Stockholm in view. Not quite as nice on the other side, however. Well, that said, I'm very hungry now, so let's enter the grand buffet. Entry was a very steep €20.50. Certainly not cheap, however, let's hope it's worth it. I can see here a whole host of different hot options. And where else can you have breakfast with a view like this? Now let's see which drinks are available on offer here. Firstly, there is the classic American-style soda fountain with this lineup of drinks. Oh dear, I'm so busy making the video, I've overfilled my glass. Next to this there are some beer taps, but sadly they are only available for the evening buffet. The next round up are the coffee machines located over here, and in the middle there is a juicer. Time to now tuck in to the buffet. As you can see here, you can see what I selected. It was okay really, but I wouldn't say anything fancy. Definitely not worth €20, but it was alright. Breakfast now finished, let's do some exploring the remainder of Deck 7 to show you the different areas here. This side of the Manhattan Piano Bar has what is called the Cigar Club. Certainly interesting, but not open at this time of day, of course. Now, in terms of getting to the city from the port in Stockholm, this is the price list for the bus transfers they offer. I don't use this, but you can see them up here. Pause the video. The Sea Pub, where we had some fun and karaoke last night, is located over there. Let's now head downstairs to Deck 6. As promised, now it's quiet, here is the video games arcade. Let's have a little look around inside, so you can see the various machines, which seem to all be motorbike rides, with a couple of carts in the middle. And over here to the left, there is a large air hockey table. We now rapidly approach the inner reaches of Stockholm's inlets and archipelago of islands. As the sun is just about peeking through the clouds, the scenery gets more and more beautiful. Right, let's go back to my cabin and pick up my things, but you can of course leave your bag in there, being on a mini cruise.
30 minutes. Access to the car deck will open in 15 minutes. Disembarkation will take place from Deck 5. On behalf of the captain and the crew, we thank you for traveling with us and look forward to welcoming you back on board the Baltic
I do love the onboard cabin announcements.
Well, I've collected all the accessories from my cabin for the day in Stockholm, and I will leave my bag in the room here because you're allowed to do so if you're on a mini cruise, which makes it nice and easy because you don't need to carry it all around the city with you for the day.
I then sit here in the corridor, looking out the window and seeing another of the restaurants here. We then approach into the port of Stockholm with the Scandic Hotel directly opposite. This does look like a cool place to stay, to be honest. Maybe I should try it out. And that's us berthed at the large terminal of Tallink Silja Line in Stockholm. And there just in front, peeking through, is the nose of the Silja Symphony. And that's it. With little wait at all, we're off. In admiration of the vessel, I am trying to take a photo of her whilst keeping the video running at the same time, and probably failing awfully at both. As it says on the sign, welcome to Stockholm. One final amazing view of the ship here from the main terminal area. This, with the two companies now merged, Tallink and Silja Line together, this is also where the ferries to Helsinki leave from.
Well, that's it. We've arrived in Stockholm, so let's see what it has to offer and to explore the city.
As I leave the terminal, a view of the stern of the ship. The Silja Symphony, another amazing ferry, is docked in front. I then enter this very cold and icy bridge, crossing the railway tracks over from the terminal. I better be careful. Successfully, without slipping over, I arrive at Gardet metro station, which you're probably also going to say is pronounced wrong. I now enter the metro gates, and just like in London, you can pay using contactless, touching in and touching out. As you can see, the trains from here are very frequent, running once every 10 minutes. And that's it. A very nice ride, and I'm off the other end. Let's just stop and wait and see the train go. I've arrived in the quaint and classic old little narrow streets of Stockholm's Old Town.
Well, and so here we are in Gamla Stan. And here we are at what I presume is the main square of the Royal Palace. And gosh, it's so cold here, my lips are going numb. And there's a large monument here to Gustavus Adolphus. I wonder who he is. If you know, let me know in the comments below. And up there is a horse with scaffolding behind, with Carl Johan riding it. At least he has a good name. All the best people are called Carl.
Finally, I locate the Christmas markets in the main square. This is the historic picture postcard centre of Gamla Stan.
And I'm here in the main square, where the market is open from 11 AM to 6 PM every day. Except one slight problem, it's 12 o'clock and it's closed.
And rather uniquely, at one side here, you can collect your Nobel Prize at the museum. Thanks very much to my sister for directing me to this place. It really is beautiful. I am now, however, really beginning to freeze, so I come in the warm for this nice coffee in this diner place. A myriad of shops, bars and restaurants are available in this very touristy area of the city.
And now walking through the old town in Gamla Stan.
If you fancy trying a local dish, you can try the Cafe Piazza for a pasta and a pizza. A beautiful square here with a Christmas tree in the centre. This is the unique Martin Trotsigsgrand, Stockholm's narrowest street.
And hidden just off here is Stockholm's narrowest street. But alas, there was a dead rat down there, so that was quite scary and freaked me out, so I ended up running up the final section. Now down on the docks, there are some old railway tracks here. And wow, what is that I can spy behind me? It's a ferry, the Viking even.
I can't make out what it said there, but it's the Viking Cinderella. We'll see her up close shortly. Here now at the ferry terminal, Slussen.
From here I'm going to try and catch ferry line 82 to the museums.
Because what better thing to do when you've been on a ferry all night but to catch another ferry? There she is, the Djurgården 10. I didn't have to wait long, and it was time to board. This takes you over to the island containing the museum area. A list of its destinations. Route 82 are up there on the sign in front. I won't bother pronouncing them all. I head right down to the bow for the best view on board. And so, at double the speed, here we go. The white sailing ship over there in the distance is the A.F. Chapman, formerly the Dunboyne, a full-rigged steel ship moored up against the harbour. It now serves as a hostel.
Välkommen ombord. Trevlig resa. Nästa stopp, Djurgården.
The A.F. Chapman was actually built in England, in Cumberland, and was later sold in her life onto the Swedish Navy, which is how she ended up here. On the other side of our vessel is a ferry here which followers of this channel may find more interesting, the Viking Cinderella. She is Viking Line's offering on the Stockholm to Helsinki route, who directly compete with Silja Line on the same route. She's a 1989 vintage ferry. Now coming into view is a vintage 1883 amusement park, the Gröna Lund. Also known as the Tivoli Gröna Lund. It certainly reminds me of the place with the same namesake in Copenhagen. It impressively houses 8 roller coasters and has also been the host to many pop, rock and music concerts over the years, including some very famous names such as Bob Marley and Jimi Hendrix. Speeding this up to arrive a little faster, there's a ferry boat there approaching in the other direction. We get a closer look at some of these amazing yet scary looking roller coasters. And there we are, arriving at the Djurgården. Right next to the dock is one of the grand classic old entrances to the Gröna Lund and a sign for the Tivoli. But aha, what's that up there on the side? A little clue for where we're going. Yes, you might have guessed it, it's one of the most famous things in Sweden, ABBA. And remember, the second most famous thing in Sweden we're going to seek out later on. Ticket was 239 Swedish krona.
Well, I can't resist this, so I have to visit. Sadly, however, they don't permit filming inside, so I won't be able to show you, but I'm sure it will be amazing. Well, the ABBA Museum was really very good, enjoyable and fun, with so many different exhibits there, and I would highly recommend it.
I then decided to take a tram back into town, which I nearly freaked out because you could only buy tickets on board. After this, I arrived at this nice cafe and had a tiramisu and Coke. It really was very delicious and the staff were friendly. I then walked the cake off in this large area known as Bazelli Park. There's a lot of large reindeer here ready for Christmas. A beautiful evening twilight approaches, even at only around 3 PM in the afternoon.
And a nice view here of this little harbour at Marina.
Right, I'm now running out of time and need to get my skates on to find Sweden's other big name. Yes, you've guessed it. It's IKEA and their iconic meatballs, which of course I had to enjoy here, and they were also a good price. According to my banking app, only £4.75 or 59 sec. One thing that was not cheap, however, was the price to use the toilet, £1.25. I then make a mad dash to the port on the metro. Alas, all good things come to an end, and I'm back at the Tallink Line terminal. It's time to head inside, but I better watch out. There's a lot of ice on the ground here, and it's a bit slippery. The terminal also looks like it's undergoing some construction works. The warmth inside the doors was really welcome, and then I nearly got attacked by an autonomous vacuum cleaner.
Estonian time. At 0:50 Estonian time, we will arrive to Mariehamn Harbour and will stop there for 10 minutes. The captain and crew wish you the nicest trip.
Well, I came back down to my cabin and had a lay down and fell to sleep for about, an hour and a half, as I was so tired. So I'm now back on the move and going to have a little bit of explore of the ship. Now I'm back on board.
First of all though, I grabbed some food back from the self-service. Yes, another identical fish and chips. Because, well, it's compulsory to eat fish at sea, washed down with a Coca-Cola. A little quieter today though.
Well, it's midnight, so it's time for my midnight stroll on deck. And oh my gosh, it's absolutely Baltic out here. Well, it's the Baltic, I guess. But sadly, because of the temperatures, I can't really stay out here too long, so it's going to be a really quick fleeting visit. Also, the outside decks on this ship are really rather small and not very good, and it's my only one criticism of the vessel. And oh my gosh, my hair is also going very crazy. And that's pretty much the extent of the outside deck.
Let's now climb a bit higher up to see if we can get a bit of a better view, as we're about to arrive at an intermediary stop. Now what mysterious place is this? Right, let's see if I can get back down outside for a better view. It always feels strange and slightly lonely walking around on a ferry in the middle of the night. I love the way the outside doors on this ferry always open nice and easy, unlike many others. Welcome to Mariehamn, the Åland Islands. This is a common intermediary stopping point for all of the ferries that travel between Stockholm and Tallinn and Stockholm and Helsinki, including both with the Silja Line and the Viking Line. The Åland Islands are an autonomous region of Finland, with Mariehamn as its capital. The local population, however, predominantly speaks Swedish. They are a huge archipelago of approximately 6,700 islands, skerries and rocks. This island is the largest of them, and its capital.
And we're making a stop in Mariehamn Island.
The terminal approaches, and it's quite a large, vast complex, but given the number of ferries that stop here, I'm not really surprised. It kind of feels a bit eerie and spooky arriving at a silent ferry terminal in the middle of the night at the midnight hour. I wonder what it's like here. I know in the summer it's a popular holiday destination, but maybe you've been. If you know, let me know in the comments below. I didn't really see any passengers get on or off. Okay, midnight sightseeing done, it's time to head back in the warm and enjoy the ship's entertainment. And once again, the passengers band is back. They were again very enjoyable, but I must admit they did sing quite a lot of songs they sang on the previous evening. Back in my cabin, on the outbound sailing, I forgot to give you a full tour, so let's have a look around now. You can see a nice desk here and mirror, with plenty of plugs provided. The all-important safety instructions on the door. A few hangers are provided to hang up your ball gown. And in the little wardrobe is the ladder, which is used for climbing up to the high bunk, which, if you wish to see it, is here. Once again, it comes complete with all its pillows and linen. However, after a night in the bar watching the show, I don't think I'll be climbing up there this evening. It looks way too high and scary. And once again, the bed requires some level of self-construction. Let's move on instead and check out the all-important loo and the facilities in here.
And a look around the bathroom here. So you've got a nice soap dispenser, sink, little tray there for your toothbrush, etc. Towels provided, and the shower, of course, which the water pressure is very good.
Well, with my phone plugged in one of the many useful plugs, for the second time in this video, it's once again time to say goodnight from the Baltic Sea and Queen.
Well, good morning after my second night aboard the Baltic Queen. Again, unfortunately, I only got about 6 hours sleep, so feeling a little bit wary today. However, I've got a day exploring Tallinn, so we'll get up and maybe get a bit of a bite to eat, and then make the most of it.
A look at today's breakfast sitting timings in the Grand Buffet. They even publish a whole list of vegetarian options on here. Given I laid in this morning, however, I'm just going to go for this small croissant and Coca-Cola in the self-service. I get a bigger meal when I get to shore. As I depart the self-service, the My Star approaches us, which is the Tallink shuttle service from Tallinn to Helsinki. This is a very large, well-equipped ferry, also definitely a route I must try out in the future. And there we are, we can see Tallinn approaching in the distance. As we enter the harbour, the mist swirling over the sea really does look quite magical, as if it is evaporating into this morning's freezing cold air. Now my all-important summary of the trip, weighing up the positives and negatives. Starting with the positives, there were excellent onboard facilities, a great and fun party atmosphere, and of course the tickets for the ferry and the cabin were great value for money, and also the beer and drinks on board were good value. I would say if you were in Scandinavia and looking for the ultimate party mini-cruise, then this is the crossing for you. Moving on to the negatives now, and connected to that very reason, it can be noisy on board, particularly on weekend sailing, so I would avoid those if you don't like noise. Unlike the drinks, the food on board is relatively expensive, and for a lot of people, you don't really get to spend very long at the port. So for today's trip costings, excluding food, the Tallink cruise cost €128 or £111, the Ryanair flight £25, the bus transfers £13, and the Stockholm Metro and Ferry £13.86, bringing an excellent total of £162. As we arrive in Tallinn, docked in here is the MSV Botnica, an Arctic research vessel. She's an icebreaker that specialises in offshore construction. Yet another Helsinki service is already at the terminal, the Victoria 1. And I'm back on dry land.
And so we've made it back here to Tallinn.
But if you want to see an icy Tallinn and its beautiful old town, you'll have to wait for the next video. And as we pass by that impressive chimney, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you of course on the next one.